We just missed it. My father-in-law is texting me about. He goes, "Hey, have you heard of something called Spacecoin Investment Company? They're held by Regions Bank, and they want me to send them $2,000 to start. What do you think?"
No.
Hello, my friends.
Thank you for joining us for the PEBCAK Podcast, a weekly information security show featuring some all-around good people. It is week 22 of 2024. I'm Chris Louie, and just when I thought I was done with single dad duty, the Louie household is now COVID positive, and I'm back on single dad duty. With me, I have my co-host, BDB, who's caught COVID 2 times more than me and also raised twice as many kids as me.
Again, nobody cares about COVID. You loser, and tell your wife to get off the couch and help you out, man. I think you're gonna say you're a single dad because she found out about all your indiscretions. Just kidding. There are none. Chris is an open book. But no, I'm actually in the Canadian airport. I think it's the Trudeau something. But I just grossed everyone out. There's not much for food here, and I'm on the carnivore diet. And I basically just ate a bowl of cream cheese, and people are sitting like I'm a psychopath.
Rightly so, Ryan. Rightly so, too.
I did like
cream cheese.
But I had it with fork, so I'm classy.
Always. For the record, I am still COVID negative and maintain my record of never having caught it. If I manage not to get it this time around, I literally am invincible.
Yes, I am invincible.
Will you also
and still CN Chris.
CN Chris.
And also oblivious,
No
Chris. You always take out or miss out on all those people hitting on you.
No Glenn this week. He is handling some things, and we wish him well and hope he will be back next week. This week's guest is the return of our 5th host and candidly best-looking guy I've ever seen in a while, Victor DeLuca.
I absolutely love it when you call me like that. I could get used to it, you know? Hey, guys.
Victor was kind enough to join us at the last minute. We had a guest suddenly become unavailable, and Victor stepped up.
You keep saying that. He's starting to believe he is the most handsome man in the world, so be careful. Can't pander to his ego.
He pandered to his own ego. I noticed that because Victor typed this in while I was reading it. So it's just like you, Brian, when you try to trip me up by adding things as I'm reading to the Google Doc, I saw Victor do it too, but I didn't fall for it. I actually just said it out loud because it wasn't really, really offensive like the stuff you usually add.
Victor's a funny guy. I got to actually hang out with him here.
Yeah, I gave Brian some time. He deserved it. He felt lonely in this barren wasteland that is Canada, so I felt like I had to make him feel like he's at home.
It's America's 51st state.
Yeah.
Combined, we have decades of information security experience that are here not just to educate, but to entertain. We've got 4 awesome stories for you this week, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. This will be our last podcast for the month of May, so I just want to wish everybody a happy Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. This week, we're going to talk about a new low for ransomware gangs, a much-needed upgrade for healthcare. For our third topic, what goes around comes around, and close with US-Canada talk.
You couldn't think of a better way of doing the AAHNPI?
What do you mean?
I don't know, like it's a mouthful, bro. Like you couldn't think of like rearranging it somehow?
Well, that's the official one. It used to be APA Heritage, Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, and then they changed it this year. So the new acronym is Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders. They changed it on us.
This isn't a word that you made up?
No.
Or a thing?
No, this is the official government term. I found it on, I don't know, was it HHS website? It's one of the government websites. This is the official term that we're using now.
Government can't be wrong. All I do know is I plugged it in Scrabble to see if they could make a word out of it and came up with nothing. So they tried
no
hard.
No acronyms in Scrabble.
No, but they can make a word out of it, right? Like
Yeah.
HP.
Well, technically, this is an initialism. ANHPI.
Well, that's why I don't want it to be an initialism. I want it to be an acronym. Make it easy to remember.
Yeah. ANHPI.
And Nippy. All right, it's beautiful. But yeah, happy month, guys.
Thank you. For our first topic, this will be our ransomware story of the week. Just when you thought ransomware gangs could not sink to new lows, you hear about a story like this, and it just makes you shake your head. And this isn't some crackpot on Medium writing about this story. It's actually Mandiant's chief technology officer, Charles Carmichael, gave a talk at RSA about how ransomware gangs are exploiting the families of executives to coerce them into paying a ransom. The attackers SIM swap the child of an executive they wish to pressure, then use the child's phone number to make threatening calls directly to the executives, creating a highly stressful negotiating environment. By exploiting personal connections, attackers amplify the psychological impact, forcing executives to make decisions under extreme stress.
So I remember as like a kid, and I'm sorry, not as a kid, when our kids were really young, we had to like do something at the school where they take a photo of them and then they make like a little card in case they ever go missing. And I remember my daughter saying like, what would happen if, me and Ellie were like kidnapped from the bus stop? He's like, what do you think would happen? Like, would you guys be scared? Like, do you think it can happen, Dad? I said, 100% it could happen. But I'm 100% sure they probably bring you guys back because you're always fighting and driving me nuts. So,
Victor's not laughing because he doesn't have kids.
I'm still a kid. What do you mean? I hope I don't get SIM swapped.
Once you get to our age with the kids, you'll laugh at that one.
Yeah, but there's a movement here in Canada, at least in the surrounding schools, about banning cell phones for kids up to, I think it's high school level. So
I 100% support that.
Yeah, so I mean that would probably reduce the amount of children getting SIM swapped, but yeah, I it's still something that I don't know if I fully agree with. I think we have to learn to live in the world that we're going to live in at 18, 19 years old, and then just suddenly having access to a cell phone might completely change your world and you might suddenly become addicted. But yeah, I mean, ransomware and attackers are going to do pretty much everything. So yes, it's crossing a line, but I'm pretty sure they've done worse before.
Yeah, when has that ever bothered those ransomware gangs? Ransoming hospitals and being real scumbags.
And honestly, like this whole idea is going to work because if you think about who is, and I'm probably going to get so much trouble for this, but like you're targeting, are they targeting executives? Yeah. Executives are usually very close to our grandparents' age. So we're going to fall for this 100%. They're like, oh no, you want me to put the money in a brown paper bag and leave it by the post office? You got it.
That's one thing I was thinking of is why go, because SIM swapping is not, I mean, for some people it might be easy and trivial, but wouldn't it be way easier just to spoof the number? Like just spoof the kid's number when you make the call and then you call from any phone? Or is it more psychologically threatening to somebody and more harrowing if they actually SIM swap them and like their kid no longer has access to their phone number and they have to go through a bunch of hoops to get their number back?
At this point, I think it's just easier just to kidnap the kid and do it the right way. I wonder, like, how much you probably get a lot less trouble by just doing the SIM swap.
Yeah, it's fairly easier. It's not a full scale operation of kidnapping, and these guys would have to go from Russia to the U.S. or something. So
it's a victim.
I don't want to give the bad guys. I don't want to give the bad guys any ideas, but wouldn't it even be more threatening if you call the kid, keep them on the line for 30 seconds with whatever you need to, record their voice, and then use AI to synthesize their voice, to do a deep fake voice for them. Then you SIM swap them, you call from the kid's number and play a recording of the kid saying, "Dad, please pay the ransom."
I think it's even easier. Now I think you only need like 5 seconds and just go to their TikTok and get the information from there.
Yeah.
And then replay it, yeah. Have you guys done, is voice on GPT-4o?
No. I mean, it recognizes voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't synthesize a voice in the way you're thinking of doing like deepfake. There's plenty of like free or low cost services that will do voice synthesizing, but the major ones like GPT, ChatGPT, and OpenAI, they don't do that.
I don't know. I mean, if I really got a phone call, I think the first thing I would do is if I got a phone call from my daughter or from, SimSwap, and I think the first thing would be to do is like, find my iPhone, see where they're at. Too bad for Victor if he ever has kids, because that won't happen. There's no such thing as Find My. He'll fall victim
Find my
to it.
Android.
Yeah, with his
Find my
cracked,
Windows phone.
with his
They
cracked
actually
screen.
released it. I actually got an email this morning. I think Android is fully going. It's going on board for the Find My Phone stuff. So I got an email this morning. It's called Localize My Phone, and
What a stupid
it's on. It's going to be available as of I think next month. So
See,
yeah.
typical
Take that,
Android,
Apple.
always copying from the industry leader, Apple.
Always one step behind.
Yep, always one step behind.
I wanted to add a thing. I hope, Chris, that those ransomware gangs are not listening, because the advice and the full scheme that you just explained of how you would do it instead of how they did. I just hope they're not listening, because you're much smarter than them.
So I said, I don't want to give him any ideas, but
He's
this
like,
is how you can make it much worse.
Here's a free one. Yeah. Jeez, this guy. Cream
Well,
cheese is
despite
coming up,
the
guys.
heinous nature of the crime, I think the silver lining here is that ransomware is hitting a wall. Recent reports suggest that law enforcement operations and improvements in IT security and backups have caused ransom payments to plummet to a multi-year low. When criminals have to resort to things like threatening the families of their victims, they are getting desperate.
I think it's just
When
probably
they-
easier to do, right? All the customers in the world have Zscaler, so they're just protected. It's an obvious problem, right? Just go after the
No way for them to get in now.
Yeah.
Plugged all the security holes.
Dude, I know I've told you guys about this, but I do have a Lutron Smart Hub that is now 6 months. It's been trying to phone back home and pull down a piece of known malware from downloads.lutron.com, I think, or some variation of it, but it's definitely their Lutron website, and they still haven't patched it. I have no idea who to contact.
You
So if
reported
you're
to the
listening,
security team?
I've gone on and I tried to make mention of it, on their, they didn't really have a security thing, but I forget what it was. I found something and I relayed the information, but it went missing.
Find their CISO on LinkedIn. Find their CISO on LinkedIn and hit him up, or her, or they. Hit them up.
All right, hit them up like Tupac. All right, I like it. I'll try that.
Hit 'em
That's a
up.
good idea. Maybe I can roll I can parlay a sale out of this. Maybe we can make Lutron a customer. Booyah!
Good. Get that upsell. For our second topic, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, or HHS, is launching a $50 million program to fund cybersecurity tools to protect hospitals from attacks. And this is one of those stupid acronyms that they create the acronym and then they try to make the words spell it out. So get this. It's called the Universal Patching and Remediation for Autonomous Defense Program. So that spells out the word upgrade program. Aims to secure whole systems and networks of medical devices to ensure solutions can be employed at scale. This act comes on the heels of two recent high-profile ransomware attacks that massively disrupted healthcare, at least here in the US, with Change Health and Ascension Health. It's a step in the right direction, but it's also too little too late. I think it's going to take more than $50 million in software and hardware to stop hospitals from getting ransomed. If you look at Change Healthcare, their parent company United Health Group had revenues last year in excess of $378 billion, and they still could not find and shut down a Citrix box that had single-factor authentication turned on. $50 million can buy a lot of YubiKeys, but security has to be baked into the culture.
So what vendor do you think is pandering to the U.S. government? I'll sell you all this stuff for only $50 million. What a small...
It's Microsoft.
Right? What fee? We're gonna take you to an M5 license. Did they have like a healthcare license? H5 maybe?
H5 maybe, yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, $50 million like a drop in the bucket. Maybe they'll just be focused on just the giants out there, but still, I bet you United Health Group, like 50 million is probably maybe their spend in a year on IT, right? What do you guys think?
It's like a rounding error for them.
Yeah.
So I thought that at first too. $50 million with how many hospitals, that's not much for each hospital. But if you read the details of it, they're funding $50 million to do a study. And this study is supposed to produce a result of things like software development lifecycle, supply chain protection, auto patching, things like create a framework that they can build.
Bro,
around.
I am doing this. Brian Beach Incorporated. I'm going to use ChatGPT to spit out a little framework for healthcare, and I am done. I'm going to, you know what? I'm going to make a little, hey Siri, set a reminder to get rich or die trying.
Trying.
This is going to be free money for somebody, guys. Why? Might as well be us. Except for you, Victor. You know what it is.
That's like 500 million Canadian.
Do you 50 million USD. That's a lot of rupees.
We'll be able to pay our
ransomware. To be honest, I don't get it. They're funding a program to basically tell the guys across the US to start patching in hospitals like that. How are you expecting this to make a difference? Like they already know they need to patch. That's not like it's not something that's hidden. They already know how to patch. It's just there's a fundamental problem much larger than that. There's a reason why they can't patch or they have a hard time patching, right? So I think it has to come from the private sector.
From you guys. I'm going to say produce a 500-page dissertation. Hey, I got it before you did, keyword. So, man, this is going to be awesome.
One of the specific callouts that HHS does is they say when you have a vulnerability in a consumer device, an iPhone, a Sonos speaker, Google, whatever,
calling out
they say they can spin up a patch relatively quickly, not overnight, but relatively quickly. When you have a medical device that has a glaring vulnerability in it, it can take months or years before they can develop a patch. And I wish we had someone in healthcare on that could maybe tell us why, but it just seems like it's either because their QA is so rigorous, like if somebody's pacemaker gets a bad update, like you can be in really big trouble, or if it's just that's how things move in the medical industry. They're not software companies, so it does take them 5 months to crank out a patch.
And when you think about it, Change Healthcare is only one out of the how many different healthcare companies that operate in the U.S. That's just one. That's like, and they had revenue in excess of $378 billion, right? The United Health Group. So I think the fact that you guys are so decentralized in the U.S. compared to Canada, which has a single sort of, I was going to say single point of failure, but we don't have a lot of private hospitals. They're mostly not legal. So it's you guys have a plethora of different levels of security, and there's not a lot of incentives because they see a dollar sign behind it. So unless they think that cyber risk is real, they may never invest in cybersecurity because they may not really care about it. They care about the top line, bottom line.
And we're always saying that, like, maybe this will be the watershed moment. Maybe this will be the wake-up call, but we've been saying that for decades now, and everyone's still asleep at the wheel. So maybe this will help.
Looking like a true communist, Victor. Good job.
One interesting take on this is we're looking at this from the defense side, having multi-factor authentication, having self-updating software. I was thinking, why don't we flip it? We'll flip the script. I have a budget of $50 million, and I will go to Mandiant's red team. I'll go to a really highly reputable red team and tell them, you have blanket immunity. I'll pay 50 of you $1 million each. Do your worst against these threat actors. Why aren't we hacking these guys back like offensive security? Why are we always playing defense?
I like where we're going with this, Chris. What should the penalty be? Do we take them to an island where there's no laws and torture them?
What do you mean, like Australia was originally?
Maybe.
Or Guantanamo? Yeah, you guys already have one. Why do you need a second island?
You know what? But let's talk real quick, like on the Change Health thing. So, like, I know that sucked for United Health Group, but I do have to hand it to the hackers that they were just like, hey, we don't really want to hurt anybody, right? Because it is healthcare. So it's almost like they took this morale and they're just like, how about we just go after the billing, right? And that's, I think, exactly what they did. So they made a lot of money. I guess they do hurt end users with the information being leaked, but that happens all the time anyways. So good for them. They got paid. Just kidding. That's terrible. I hate them.
My social security number is 100% on the dark web. I just signed up for this service, free service to my credit card. Like, oop, we found your social security number on the dark web. Better put a credit freeze in. I'm thinking, I think by now most Americans have their social security number published on the dark web, especially after Equifax.
Yeah. I wonder, so are you going to do the lock on it? Or are you going to maybe get like an iris pin? Or are you not worried about it?
Yeah, I forgot. There's a difference between like a freeze and a hold or something. There's one where you can like freeze and unfreeze it. So yes, I will have that if it's not already in place already. And I think there's like a different one, like a credit. I don't remember, like a credit hold where it's just like impossible to get any new lines of credit. I don't remember the difference, but if you just freeze it and unfreeze it, and it's required by law now that it's free to freeze and unfreeze it at will, then go that route.
I love free. I'm sure we're paying for it on taxes.
Yeah, I had to put a hold on mine, the second one, because I had a person abuse it last November. So they called a bank that I didn't do business with, and they created an account with my social insurance number, which is the equivalent of your social security number, and then they said I was a doctor, a dentist, and then they were trying to take out a loan, $150,000 loan. And it's crazy. They never had to use any of my information. I didn't know other than the information they found on the web. It's just crazy. I found out 3 months after when I saw that there was a credit hit on my credit report, which I never look at because I never need to. But yeah, I had to call the bank and make them cancel the credit card and line of credit and everything they had open. So yeah, it happens.
I mean, you're not a dentist?
I
wish.
You're not like Glenn?
I'm not like Glenn.
I don't know that I would actually want. Would you want to be a dentist? I don't know, man. People's mouths are gross.
Yeah, but it's, I'm a cyclist, right? I have a bike in the background, and there's always this joke about dentists working 3 hours in the morning and then just going for a bike ride in the afternoon and making a bunch of money and having a good life. So I guess that's a stereotype, but
yeah, I think you can make more money right where you're at.
I'd say so. And then you don't have to rack up massive student loan debt for dental school. I don't know, is dental school free there?
Yeah, I was going to say it's not that expensive, so the return on investment is probably a bit better.
There's no way it's free. Basic college education.
Nothing is free, but much cheaper. Yeah.
How much is it to get a doctorate?
I actually don't know because I never went to dental school, but I would say it's probably, I don't know, $10,000 a year, maybe.
Yeah. Man, you're researching it back.
You pay for it in other ways, though, with those 60% taxes there. Just saying, there's no free lunch. All right, for our third topic, we are revisiting a story from back in March on episode 153, where we talked about the Incognito darknet market. We talked about how the owner of Incognito exit scammed all of its users, stealing all their Bitcoin, and then proceeding to extort them by asking for payment, or else he would release the details of all their transactions and conversations from the platform. The owner was asking for amounts between $100 for individual users up to $20,000 for sellers to protect all of their customers. We said there was no honor among thieves. Well, now we're saying what goes around comes around. the owner and extortion artist of Incognito Market, has been arrested in New York.
Yeah, what a loser.
The illegal drug market was used to sell more than $100 million worth of narcotics, including over 1,000 kilos of illicit drugs. Rui Xiang Lin is the alleged mastermind behind the darknet marketplace and is thought to have made about $5 million in commissions. If convicted, Rui faces at least 2 life sentences. No word on how the feds caught on, but the criminal complaint says that law enforcement agencies executed search warrants on 3 servers back in July 2022 and August 2023.
Dude, why was this guy going after people for 20 grand? These $100 million worth of narcotics. Like, is he publicly traded? Is this he has to report his numbers and grow the business year over year? Jesus Christ. 1,000 kilograms. That's 2,200 pounds of drugs. That's a small car in the U.S. He was moving that? Get the hell out of here. Wow.
I mean, he may have been trying to sell Incognito darknet market to a private equity, right? He wanted a better...
He wanted to improve the numbers for the sale.
I just
see, scammed him.
What was that? Wall Street, Wolf of Wall Street? I imagine he's just like, gotta get those numbers up.
Beating his chest.
Yeah.
Those are rookie numbers.
Those are rookie numbers. Dude, I want to find out more about this guy. He's in 2 life sentences. He's probably got a puddle of cash. And, what are you going to do with all that now that you're getting locked up? Is there a picture of him online?
Maybe there's a mugshot.
It's crazy to think that, $100 million worth of narcotics, including 1,000 kilograms of illicit drugs in Canada is probably legal, right? Because I'm guessing a bunch of it was probably, marijuana or some of the drugs that are legal.
Methamphetamines.
Okay, yeah. Maybe not legal in Canada then.
Not those, yeah. I think the legalization of cannabis, I'm sure like those darknet marks don't have to deal in that quite as much. It's more the hard drugs. It'll be heroin, cocaine, fentanyl, meth.
This guy is Chris's cousin. Look how much they look alike. I didn't know any better.
Oh man, they do look alike.
Dang. And it's not even because you guys are Asian. Like, literally, you guys look alike. Like, if you can grow a mustache.
It's like the Timu version.
Yeah.
Timu versus Louis. Gotta send me that in the group chat. I'm gonna make that our picture of the week.
Okay. Damn. What an idiot.
The other thing is, prison might be better for this guy because now that he's been outed and he stole a bunch of money and tried to extort a bunch of money from known drug dealers, jail might be safer for him.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, It's been proven before, especially in New York. You can get Epstein's for sure. Like, come on, guys.
No, it's called Clinton.
Accidental stabbing.
Yeah, Clinton.
Or McAfee.
Exactly.
Yeah. Wasn't you, Chris?
John?
No, I think there was somebody. Wasn't it you that was saying that there's a rumor that he faked his death and he's actually alive?
Oh, I'm sure there is. He's hanging with Tupac.
Is that you that said that?
No.
They definitely said he was hanging out with Tupac. All right, so I'll have to go back and check my sources.
Yeah, so first of all, you're extorting drug dealers. You would think your OPSEC would be a little bit better. And then on top of this guy travels to New York. It's like, what are you thinking? If I had $5 million that I made from illegal drug sales, I would be nowhere near the U.S. or any kind of extradition country.
Well, maybe
originally.
Maybe he just came in as an illegal immigrant. He's just like, bro, I heard if you cross the border, you get a 10 grand Visa card and on a free plane ride to New York City. He's like, I'm gonna clean up my act. It's the land of the brave. I'm gonna become the next techie. Or maybe he's going in male fashion. I have no idea what you do in New York. Maybe his goals were completely different. We just missed it.
You wanted to buy a Gucci belt, Brian.
Gucci belt makes sense.
Was he originally from the U.S. or did he just, hopped on a plane and decided that New York was going to be his state of residence?
I don't know. We're gonna have to look into this and see, because I think they nabbed him at the airport as he was trying to flee the country. But like I said, what was he doing here in the first place? Why wasn't he flagged on the way in? Unless they didn't know who this guy was until he came.
Oh, he was from Taiwan.
Well, he's Taiwanese. We assume he's there, but he could also speak English fluently.
Are you guys like reading his bio on the spot right now?
Yeah, we both are sharing Google results.
And he was young. He was 23. So
I like how you said
I guess he was smart.
He's already dead. He's already dead.
There's a dead man walking. Well, just like Victor said, if he's not dead now, he's not going to be alive for very long. If he's made a lot of enemies.
Gonna get promoted to drug addict in prison.
Just like that guy from Alpha Bay. I think he ran Alpha Bay. He got caught in Thailand, and then he was also found dead in his cell. Allegedly suicide, but he was found dead in his cell.
Yeah, he was suicided.
I wonder what Ross Ulbricht's up to, the Pirate Bay guy, if he's still around or if he's just serving out his life sentence in peace somewhere. Should look it up.
There's a big movement, right, for his release. I remember reading some people say, what he did was, yes, illegal, but not unethical. And he was just a libertarian trying to host a marketplace, and people misused that marketplace. And there's actually a real movement for his release. Yeah.
Yeah, him and Assange. You got to free Assange.
Yeah, but Assange has some different... he was accused of a lot of different things, right? Not just, not just WikiLeaks, a lot of other unsavory things.
Yeah, I watched a special about Ross Ulbricht on, I forgot what streaming service it was, but Ross's family claims that there were some errors in the investigation, some errors in the prosecution, and that this guy got railroaded essentially. But interesting theory.
What's worse, being railroaded or trained?
I think the thing that Ross Ulbricht was the mistake he made, and what I think a lot of people, like when I read about like the raids, they got the guy from Alpha Bay and they got the guy from other places. They all have in common, same thing with the guy that did the Bitfinex hack. They all have their laptops open and unlocked because, with Linux, they have, is it EEX, the encryption system that's unbreakable. They said it has to be unlocked and it has to be, on so that they can take a snapshot of the hard drive before it gets encrypted. There's something online, I can't remember what it's called, but it's sort of like at the treadmill at the gym. You have to clip this thing onto your clothes. So if you fall off the treadmill in theory is supposed to turn off so it doesn't run you over. They have this thing that plugs into the USB port that if this thing is ever removed from the USB port, it either shuts down your computer or it locks the screen. So why didn't any of these guys do that? Like if you're running these operations and the only evidence that could convict you is on this laptop, why wouldn't you do that to your laptop? You yank this USB cord out, like if somebody tackles you, then it automatically locks your computer.
You need to stop talking, dude. You're giving away so much free info. You missed your calling.
Apparently. OPSEC for Criminals 101.
Chris, is called Improvada, is what you're thinking. So, little plug-in. Or a little plug for Improvada here today. And that's not it. That's only used for healthcare workers to badge in and out of.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, I think it's like a bash script that you run, and then you can just plug in this USB device. Anytime it's unplugged, it automatically shuts down your computer, or shuts down or locks your system.
I think you probably use like bad USB or something to code that and just plug it in.
Yeah. Use your flipper.
Yeah,
see?
Never catch me, Copper.
Oh, this guy's about to have a really bad day. We'll have to follow. I'll set a Google alert for it, and then we'll see inevitably when he's found dead in his cell somewhere.
Let's do a GoFundMe for him, and then if he gets out somehow, then he has to give us the $5 million.
His defense fund. Yeah. Pretty sure with this $5 million, he can pay a good lawyer.
Okay. Too little,
Can't
too
get
late.
Johnny Cochran, but maybe he'll get somebody.
Did he get served for 2 years or 2 licenses, or He's like, or that could be the worst.
He's up for, yeah.
Okay,
yeah, for the trafficking and the wire fraud and everything there. They said
like, that's some
convicted,
Saudi Arabia justice right there, man.
For the
open and
life
shut
sentences
case.
for drugs.
Yeah.
He'll get to keep his head if he serves his time here, though. For our last topic, and it'll be a rotating topic every week. This week, we're going to talk about the differences between the U.S. and Canada. Victor, you came to the U.S. 2 weeks ago, and you actually got to come to my house and come hang out for a bit. And Brian, you're in Canada right now. You got to see Victor for a bit up there. What are some differences you're noticing, even though we're neighbors and Canada's America's hat?
Go ahead and go
what
first.
What is wrong with San Francisco prices? I remember I bought 2 pizzas. My friend and we bought a pizza each, and in Canadian dollars with tips and the 5 or 7% San Francisco whatever fee that they just slap on top.
The healthcare tax.
I think I paid $120 Canadian for 2 pizzas. I'm not kidding. It was a decent restaurant, but still, that is just it's unmanaged. It's out of. I don't even understand it. I think the prices are just. They're not correlated to the service or the product that you're getting to a certain extent. It's just nonsense.
Definitely depends on the area too. If you're in a rough area, I don't think you'll be paying $120 for a pizza, but in a nice area, it's all the requirements that they have to make, all the minimum wage laws, all the mandatory sick leave, all this, all that raises costs. And then security. There's actually a food hall in San Francisco. They had to shut down because they were spending so much on just security, just keeping them safe, that they said this is unprofitable. We're just going to close instead.
Yeah, and the homelessness problem is just it's bad. I haven't seen it as bad anywhere else in the world. It's just highly concentrated.
Even Calcutta?
Well, I haven't been there, but and they're super active. Like, you know, in Montreal, there's the winter, and in the winter, they're inside or they try to find some place to hide. In San Francisco, I guess it's too nice of a weather because they're just outside dancing at 3 a.m. They're yelling, they're running, they're very active. It's a lot of them obviously are on drugs, I think, but still, that impressed me. I haven't seen homeless or people on under the influence of drugs as much and as active as that.
Bro, you must not walk around your own city because that was the one thing, the parallel that I thought was the same between San Francisco and Montreal, the homeless druggies. And I will say, I was in San Francisco for 4 days. I was in Montreal for 4 days. And you want to know what? I forcefully removed one drug addict homeless person, and guess which country I was in from a convenience store.
Canada,
baby. So.
But did you prefer Toronto or Montreal? That's what we want to know. Which city is the most fun?
I mean, it's hard to say, man. I wasn't even in Toronto for 18 hours before I headed over here to Montreal.
Yeah, of course, because you don't want to stay longer in Toronto. There's nothing to do.
Yeah, I think I need to come back and get a good feel for it. The time I was there, in Toronto, I did have a good time. So, I will tell you though, everything in Montreal is written in French, and I know nothing in French. But everyone here will greet you in French, and then when they realize that you're American, they just talk in English. To the degree when I was at dinner with Victor and his goons, they were going in and out of English and French mid-sentence. I would give you an example, but I'm not saying anything in French. But it was just so weird. Like, they just, having a conversation, and all of a sudden, it's like, and that was the first time I got HIV, and then just goes back, and the next thing, like, what just happened? I'm like, I'm sure I did not hear that right.
No, but the bilingual in and out. It's not pick one and stick with it. It's whatever I feel like.
That is
pretty impressive.
I remember. Yeah, you were in my car this morning, right? I was driving you back to the hotel, and After breakfast, I should mention, not just driving you back in the morning. But
walk of shame, Brian. Walk of shame.
Yeah, walk of shame.
Yes. Someone called me and I answered in French, and I saw you laughing when I switched to English for like 3 words and then went back to French. And that's just the way we talk here. It's normal. So.
It's just expected. That's just normal.
It has to be the most feminine language I've ever heard in my entire life. As a rule of thumb, I will never learn how to speak French.
And they do say, like, if you're bilingual, there's at least one native language. Like, what language are you thinking? So that's a good question for Victor. What language are you thinking?
Well, I'm not the best example. I grew up in a trilingual household. So I would say depends. Sometimes I think in French. Sometimes I think in English. It really depends who I'm with, what I'm doing. Especially at work, a lot of my work is conducted in English. Like I rarely translate firewall and proxy and server in French, even though I could. They have awful translations, but I mostly write in English, and then sometimes I'll translate back to French.
So just like how people can switch languages mid-sentence, you can switch languages mid-thought.
For sure.
He's what we call a switch hitter, if you catch my drift. He doesn't get it. It's a baseball term. It has nothing to do with anything else. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, right, it's so like you guys hold the World Series in a single country, right?
Same thing with Miss Universe.
Yeah, we have
the Blue Jays. You got the Raptors.
Yeah, but the World Series isn't that the MLB?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the Blue Jays could make it if they didn't suck.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What other things did you realize that was weird about the U.S. or just different, Vic?
I'm curious about portion size because everybody around the world says Americans are all fat and we're overweight, and it's because of our gigantic portion sizes. And we had a visitor from Australia, and this is maybe 10 years ago, and he says, I want a small drink. He goes to a fast food restaurant, orders a small drink, and the size of our small drink is like an extra large in his country. So I'm just curious on portion size between the two.
I think it used to be worse. I remember going to New York maybe 10, 12 years ago, and I remember the portions at McDonald's and Burger King just being absolutely massive. But I wasn't surprised 2 weeks ago in San Francisco. So maybe it's like a regional thing. Maybe it's because I didn't go to a fast food, but I think portions were reasonable. I pay a lot of attention to what I eat, so I try not to eat too much. But I would say I think fast food is the worst. The fast food that you guys get, the quality is really subpar. I think in general, just the standard of fast food.
We don't have Tim Hortons here, Victor.
Yeah, but they're awful because Burger King bought Tim Hortons. That's why it's awful now.
Speaking of which, I thought Tim Hortons would be a steakhouse, and it was not. I didn't know what
he
had
disappointed.
Like it had some like microwave pizza in the window. And what the hell is this? Kept walking. So that was another thing. I'm with you. So the portion
brought you to.
Yeah. So real quick on the portions, right? I would say, I think they're pretty much the exact same as the U.S. The only difference is the drinks are smaller. Like, if I was at lunch and ordered a drink, like alcohol drinks are all the same, but if you were ordering like iced tea or soda, they're pretty much a lot smaller than what you would get in the U.S. And yeah, the steakhouse you took me to was amazing. Thanks for having me. Thanks for inviting 6 people and then asking me to pay. That was really cool of you.
Yeah, we're the highest ranking in the room.
It's true. That's the rule.
I don't know about those guys.
In general.
$1,400 later.
Speaking of steakhouse, how do they measure the steak size there? Because like in the U.S. it's a 10-ounce fillet or it's a 32-ounce prime rib. They don't have ounces there. How do they measure steaks there?
Oh, you'd be surprised. It's all ounces. Just like when I went to the gym.
It's not a 0.25 kilo steak.
No. Dude, I went into the gym and I was like looking at the weights and I grabbed something and I'm like, oh my God, why am I weak today? And I had to ask Victor, I'm like, are the weights here in kilograms or in pounds? Because I'm not doing what I think I should be doing. And he said pretty much everything there, at least in Montreal, right, is all pounds, not kilograms.
Yeah,
or kilos.
75-25. 75% would be pounds and 25% would be kilos.
So you could still order a 4-ounce fillet in Canada and they would know what you're talking about.
Yeah. For meat, yeah.
4 ounce?
No, we don't calculate it.
It's a petite fillet.
4 ounce?
No, we don't calculate in beavers.
That's like 1 bite for Brian.
So this place that he took me to, they had all kinds of different options. And the guy's like, "Oh, let me see." He's like, "We have a, it's like I want the tomahawk for 2." I didn't actually get that. He's like, "Oh, we got a ribeye, like a big one." He's like, "We have like a 29 ounce and a 40 ounce." And he's like, "What do you want?" I was like, "Let's do 29 ounce." That took some work to get down. I'm not gonna lie, but I did because I ain't no quitter.
Gotta go with the 40. Those are rookie numbers. Get the 40 ounce next time.
Let's see you eat a 29 ounce steak. And guess what Victor had? A bowl of mushrooms and french fries.
The tofu?
No, he's like, "Mister, I'm going to watch what I eat." This like shovels fistfuls of french fries in his face like popcorn. I'm like, "Why? Just enjoy a steak, brother."
No, I had veggies before. But honestly, Brian, I was surprised that you had some problem with the steak. It's, you're usually used to a lot of
Don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Meat lover. You've eaten bigger meats before,
No, that's
tomahawks
debatable.
are no joke.
Like did I have a tomahawk in Flagstaff with you, Chris?
You did, yeah. You had the tomahawk for 2 and you finished it.
Yeah, that was smaller than what I had there.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was because the tomahawk they were counting the weight of the bone. And I think this ribeye was like no bones, so it was just
pure meat.
Yeah, or maybe I don't know. It was weird. It was like pre-cut. I'm like, I'm a man. Let me cut my own steak, please. Weirdos.
And the tomahawk in Flagstaff came with lots of sides, and you didn't touch any of the sides.
Another little thing that I noticed is that Montreal steak seasoning is actually called Montreal steak spice here, but it's not spicy at all. So
seasoning versus spice. I guess that's just a regional language thing.
Yeah. And then last one I'll give you guys is that I think everyone, Toronto or Montreal, like everybody's super friendly. More so when I'm wearing a suit, a little less so when I'm walking around with a shirt that says "Embrace Violence." But your mileage will vary.
For science.
Yeah.
We continue to get great comments about our dad joke of the week. Dad joke of the week. This week, our guest Victor is up.
All right, I have a special for you guys. Have you heard the latest about the president of Iran? I heard he had information about mismanagement at Boeing. I hope nothing happens to him.
I thought you were going to say something about Hillary Clinton there.
Another good way to not meet a very good end. I don't want the algorithm demonetizing us.
Yeah, I would say that was a great joke, but not a dad joke.
It's true.
Maybe because it was oblivious at the end. Yeah, you did well.
Yeah, and I'm not a dad yet, so you gotta cut me some slack.
7 years, not a dad. Who knows? Victor did a great job of hiding his girlfriend from me, though. He's afraid I would out him.
Yeah, she just goes to a different school. You wouldn't know her.
Yeah, we've never seen her in a picture on anything. The background on his not iPhone, his Android is the mountains instead of his girlfriend. So the verdict is still out on there.
She probably doesn't exist, just like birds.
Yeah.
Birds aren't real.
Birds aren't real. That
Neither
would
is
get
5G.
demonetized in the algorithm. All right, to wrap things up. Hide your kids. Hide your wife. Hospitals are getting a Band-Aid for security. The owner of Incognito Dark Market learned what goes around, comes around, and blame Canada. That's all I have for this week. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Find us all on LinkedIn. Links will be in the description. follow us on Instagram at PEBCAK Podcast. Thank you to all our listeners and subscribers who rate us 5 stars in the iTunes Store and Spotify and left us a review. We appreciate you all spreading the word to help grow the show. The best way to find us is to search for the PEBCAK Podcast on your favorite podcast listening app. For my co-host Brian Deach and our guest Victor DeLuca, I'm Chris Louie. Thanks for listening. See you all next weekend. As always, have a nice day.
Hi, Felicia.
Have a nice day.